guests here on the premises of St. Vartan Armenian Apostolic Church. And I just was getting prepared for my speech, and I just remembered one of my favorite mystics of Anatolia, St. Gregory of Narik, who was born in 951 in Van, West Turkey. And I think it's a good beginning for all of us. You know, we are having big words, big, I would say, dreams. But of course, we are invited to recognize humbleness, what we are doing. St. Gregory of Narik says, "On the wings of my soul I have soared through endless generations of mankind, weighing them in the scales of my rational mind. I found none my equal in sin." Okay, with this small inspiration of Gregory of Narik, I would like to start my speech about the role of interfaith dialogue in achieving sustainable development goals, building bridges for peace and human dignity. Again, distinguished colleagues and friends, as we gather here in Big Apple, New York, the dream city for many people around the world. I remember when I came here first time from Istanbul, the new Rome. Now I live in ancient Rome, but it was a biggest moment in my life, and especially if you are interested in the study of religions, if you are interested in how different religions and communities could live together peacefully, this is, I think, the perfect spot, seeing in one street so many places of worship side by side and enjoying this peaceful atmosphere of Big Apple. And here again, we are in New York, where the dreams of nations, people converge in pursuit of a more just and peaceful world. I stand here from a European perspective, from Rome, from Tevere and other organizations with whom I am collaborating, to share insights on how interfaith dialogue serves as a powerful catalyst for achieving our sustainable development goals. In our interconnected yet fragmented world, interfaith dialogue or interreligious dialogue, here I don't want to interview just because sometimes we have sort of a nuance in that. When we say interfaith, we are more focusing on human persons with their faith, fides. When we are focusing on interreligious, we are more focusing on communities as such. Again, from Latin religio, and how this interfaith activities binding communities together. But here, just I leave this discussion for another time because we have limited time. This dialogue emerges not merely as an intellectual exercise or diplomatic courtesy, but as an essential instrument for sustainable peace and development. At its core, interfaith dialogue recognizes that while our religious and philosophical traditions may differ in practice and theology, they converge on fundamental principles that form the bedrock of human civilization: dignity, compassion, justice, and the sacred responsibility we bear toward one another and our common home, which is also mentioned 10 years ago by Pope Francis with the encyclical Laudato Si, that we are living in a common place. We are sharing a space which is common to us. We are not divided about that. Through my work in Rome and Europe, I witnessed firsthand how interfaith dialogue directly advances multiple sustainable development goals. Most notably, it strengthens SDGs 16, promoting peaceful and inclusive societies, by creating spaces where different communities can address conflicts constructively and build trust across traditional divides. When religious leaders and communities engage in authentic dialogue, they become powerful advocates for social cohesion and peace building. The true measure of interfaith dialogue lies not in the conversations themselves, but in their translation into concrete action for the common good. religious and philosophical traditions possess immense moral authority and extensive networks that can mobilize resources and inspire action at grassroots levels. When these traditions unite around shared humanitarian objectives, they create an unparalleled force for positive change. Consider how interfaith partnerships address SDG 1 on poverty eradication through common projects to combat poverty, but also empowering people in this part of the world. SDG 3 on health and well-being, or SDG 4 on quality education, especially when religious communities join their forces for charity organizations, for schooling in the poor areas of the world. Religious communities worldwide operate countless schools, hospitals, and social service programs. When these efforts are coordinated through interfaith dialogue, their impact multiplies exponentially, creating synergies that benefit entire communities, regardless of religious affiliation. Here I would like to focus on a concrete case study with which I have been dealing for the last 2 years. It's a European-funded project called Proton, and at the end of the project, we created together with different partners around Europe, Spain, Italy, Germany, Belgium, the Netherlands, an interfaith council for the safety of place of worship in Europe. And I'm also very happy that this meeting is happening, in the premises of a place of worship. So I will briefly present what we have tried, what we have been trying, in this journey of Interfaith Council for Safety of Place of Worship in terms of achieving the SDGs. Allow me to present a concrete example. Following the completion of Proton, a comprehensive 2-year project funded by the European Union, the establishment of Interfaith Council for the Safety of Place of Worship Europe represented a paradigm shift on how we approach both security challenges and interfaith cooperation. The Council emerged from a simple yet profound recognition. In an era where place of worship face increasing security threats, our response cannot be fragmented along denominational lines. Whether it's a synagogue in Berlin, Germany, a mosque in Brussels, or a church in Rome, the safety of one sacred place is intrinsically linked to the security and safety of all. Through this initiative, we have developed practical protocols for threat assessment, emergency response, and community resilience that transcends religious boundaries. Local law enforcement agencies now work with interfaith teams that understand the unique needs and sensitivities of different religious communities. More importantly, we have created networks where religious communities actively protect and support one another's sacred spaces. When the Jewish communities helping out the mosques to be protected, where Muslims are trying to help out the Jewish communities, or Christians helping for synagogues or mosques, and this is all reciprocity, and how to raise this awareness, interfaith awareness among different religions. This council demonstrates how interfaith dialogue directly serves SDG 11 on sustainable cities and communities, making our urban spaces safer and more inclusive. It again also reinforces SDG 16 by strengthening institutions and promoting justice and peace. Perhaps more significantly, it operationalizes the fundamental human rights to religious freedom in ways that are both practical and sustainable. Okay, very briefly, it was already mentioned by my colleague Tevere, but again, it's another case, but it's a work in progress again. The opportunity of 60th anniversary of Nostra Aetate, because I'm part of a working group around the world involving different NGOs inspired by Hizmet movement, and we are trying to, I would say, enrich this year with different celebrations through conferences, workshops, and elsewhere. As we look forward to the future, we stand at the threshold of a remarkable opportunity from October 28, 2025 to October 28, 2026. The global community will commemorate the 60th anniversary of Nostra Aetate, the groundbreaking Vatican II declaration that revolutionized interfaith relations. This anniversary offers us more than a moment for historical reflection. Nostra Aetate's call, number 3, to forget the past conflicts and quarrels and work collaboratively for peace, social justice, and freedom for the whole of humanity, provides a blueprint for addressing today's most pressing challenges. The Declaration's vision of 1965 aligns remarkably with the aspirations embedded in our Sustainable Development Goals. That's why I propose that we seize the anniversary year to launch a new generation of interfaith projects specifically designed to advance sustainable development. Imagine interfaith coalitions tackling climate change in line with SDG 13, and I just also said this year Laudato Si is celebrated for 10th year. 1st of October there will be a big celebration with Pope Leo XIV in Rome about that. And collaborative efforts address inequality as envisioned in SDG 10. The moral authority and grassroots reach of religious communities, when united in purpose, can accelerate progress toward these goals in ways that purely secular approaches sometimes cannot achieve alone. Okay, very much finishing. Building sustainable partnerships, the sustainability of development efforts depends not merely on financial resources or technological innovation, but on the depth of human commitment and the strength of social bonds. Interfaith dialogue creates these bonds by appealing to the deepest motivations within human communities, our sense of purpose, meaning, and responsibility to future generations. As we work toward achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, we cannot afford to overlook the transformative potential of interfaith dialogue. The challenges we face, from poverty and equality to climate change and conflict, require not just technical solutions, but moral transformation. They demand that we see beyond our immediate communities to embrace our shared humanity. I invite you to consider how interfaith dialogue might enhance your own work toward sustainable development, whether you represent governments, civil society organizations, or international bodies. There are opportunities to engage religious and philosophical communities as partners in building a more just, peaceful, and sustainable world we all seek. Thank you. Recently, with this discussion, now we have started using Interfaith, for instance. So it depends. Exactly. It depends also. I'm just picking up this literacy, but also this is another kind of problem of illiteracy. Sometimes we don't know really what term for what purpose we are using. But if you go to China, Chinese context, they say there's no religion. I mean, you cannot even use that. But I think it's a very important debate that we have to keep with that. You're right, because usually when we are talking about the relations church and state, we have the tendency to say religion and politics. We don't say too much faith and politics. But again, when we say the human person, also the idea of the right to religious freedom is not only personal. All the international documents started in 1948, but as European Convention of Human Rights, always focusing on the right to religious freedom, not only at individual level, at faith, but also at community level.
So do I have the right to come together and build up place of worship, or share moments and space with people who do have the same religious affiliation? So it's very tricky, but I'm really thankful that because we have to keep up with this debate. Public the health institutions, that's very interesting, because in Italy I'm part of the Religious for Peace Italian chapter. In our association, we started different multi-religious or silent spaces in hospitals. Because what we have discovered, in most of the hospitals there are chapels, but if you are Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, Hindu, Baha'i, you don't have any space in which you can enjoy some moment of spirituality or silence. And the most important thing is we have been very much helped by the Catholic chaplains in these hospitals, because they were the pioneering figures to help us out, to reach out the administrations, the management of the hospitals. So I would say it was quite a success story, because then people started to copy these examples in some Roman hospitals and in their respective institutions. I think this is an important moment, because usually when people come to a hospital, we think that only their body needs some healing. But as you know, there's several research on that. Also, they need spiritual support, and I think that was an interesting collaboration. Thank you.